Some people don't have B1, B2, yet they can still travel to the US. ESTAs, there may be citizens of countries where they don't need a visa to travel to the US. How does the situation look for them? Are they, for example, ESTA, is it permissible to engage in business-related activities? Maybe countries with no visa requirement.
Hey, you want to come to the US, get the E2 visa, L1, or straight out a green card? We've been doing this for the past 10 years, and we wrote a book. It's called Own Your American Dream. What is special about this book is that we went back and have spoken to 21 successful applicants who opened up their businesses here and who are continuing to live the American dream. Hear it from them, because they talk about their fears, their mental state, what went wrong, what went right. The entire blueprint is there. You could just buy the book right here. You can just read it and make up your mind. Continue your video.
So for ESTA, it's a little bit different. And ESTA, as you know, it's basically a visa waiver, right? It's certain countries that the United States feels comfortable with, right? And they think, most citizens from those countries are not going to stay here. And they can just come in and they don't have to go through the entire process of getting a tourist or business visa, B1, B2 at the consulate, right? You come in, stay for 90 days, come out, no problem, right? But for ESTA, there's some caveats you can do, which is very interesting. So you can do adjustment of status. And to clarify to our audience, there's a difference between changing status and adjusting status. So I want everybody to remember adjusting, right, means you are adjusting into a residency. That's the only way that you're going to utilize that word. You adjust to become a resident. That's it. You're changing status from one visa, it may be a B1, B2, to perhaps another non-immigrant visa, which is basically, let's say, E2, L1, whatever it may be, right? But the interesting thing is that with an ESTA, let's say you come into the United States or you already got married, prior to coming in, or you come in here and then you fall in love with the love of your life, and then all of a sudden life has changed and you want to stay here with the love of your life to whom you married. And then now you can actually do a change of status. You can do that with an ESTA. Interestingly, you can't do a change of status. So other types of visas like the E2 when you are under an ESTA, right? The scrutiny is way higher and most likely you're going to run into some problems in there. But in general, I think you mentioned Canadians and stuff like that, right? They have, the ability to come in here into the United States. The authorities are more lenient. So typically, actually, that doesn't really apply for Canadians, what I just said about changing the status. So they're more flexible, basically, is what I'm saying with Canadians. Yeah. So it's important to note that. But yeah, like you said, there's differences. It's really important that you have the correct assessment. You don't want to be in a situation where they see you as trying to game the system. That's a really bad position to be in. So it's better to have the right team to give you the right advice.
All right, very well. So just to run over this quickly, it's that B1, B2, ESTA or no visa. The intention is to get E2 visa, but the potential applicant needs to come here and see the business opportunity or the franchise opportunity and engage in those business-related activities. Until what point is it permissible? So, for example, I can lease a place, register a company, hire people, buy inventory, move in money, maybe open up a bank account. And at what point do I need the visa? Can I sit on the table and start managing my business knowing that, a month from now, I'll get the visa. But for the time being, I'm the sole owner. Yes, I have an employee or two, but there's a lot of business-related items that I need to take care of. I'm not paying myself, but I'm actively, for the past 2-3 weeks, managing this business until I get my visa. Is that sort of a gray area? Or is that not permissible at all? Where's the red line?
It's kind of a gray area. Look, the letter of the law, and if you're going to get a person or an adjudicator, an agent that's going to really look into your application, and all of a sudden it's finding out that you're taking on roles of management, right? Even though, quote unquote, you're not paying yourself, and perhaps you're not paying yourself because you know that you're not allowed to work and get paid, but you're still working, right? So it's kind of like you're working around the system. That probably doesn't look good. Once again, I mean, it will be kind of tough to figure that out unless you outright say it in your application, in your petition, right? But where's the red line? I mean, it really comes down to whether or not you're working and you're getting paid. And I know that you just said, "What if I'm not getting paid?" It's just, look, it's a logical thing, right? So look, all right, I'm not getting paid, but you're working, right? Like you're gearing towards that. So if they find out, which once again, like it's difficult unless you're actually like say it in your application, but you don't want to be in a position where you get questioned about it, right? So once again, you want to have the right advice. You want to do things right and appropriately, and you can do a lot of things, that will get your business to pretty much operational, if not operational, and perhaps you have someone else who's running it, and you might be sort of giving some sort of advice, right? But you're not actively managing it, right? If we want to be perfectly 100% transparent with immigration, right? And then there's no issue there, right? So you can, like you said, lease places, you can open up bank accounts, talk to clientele, providers, inventory, whatever it may be. All those things are things that are part of the process of opening up a business. But there's a difference in between that and sort of actively working, managing, getting paid, etc. Right?